Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Warcraft lore. This is a pretty exciting one. So, Shadows Rising, the prequel novel to the Shadowlands expansion, isn't even out yet, but it's already giving us some pretty damn big lore revelations. Anduin has disappeared, and High Exarch Turalyon has been put in place, both as commander of the Alliance forces and as the steward of Stormwind's throne. And yes, this in a way is an escalation of the Light's direct involvement in our affairs, but there's even more, because we have the appearance of Kalia Menethil in the Shadowlands introductory quest line, where she is attending a meeting, essentially of Horde leaders, which kind of points to her actually being the de facto leader of the Forsaken. These characters have one massive trait in common, and that is devotion to the light, and that is something that we actually should be very, very suspicious of, because beyond even that devotion, they have both been irrevocably changed by the light in terms of what they are. And most shockingly of all, well, listen to this whisper from Il'gynoth.
The Golden One claims a vacant throne. The crown of light will bring only darkness.
Yes, especially for Turalyon, that whisper entirely fits the narrative that is taking place. Now, these commonalities actually cross the faction boundaries. There's a big light person for Alliance and Horde, and it might actually be a bit of a confirmation of our speculations on a post-Shadowlands world, one in which Yrel and the Light Mother, having completely dominated Draenor, well, now turn their dogmatic lair on Azeroth, so that we can all share in the bondage of the light, which I'm sure would be a pretty damn cool expansion. So with that in mind, we are going to explore the more grounded political consequences for these characters before diving into the implications of Il'gynoth's whispers actually coming true. And man, much like the real world, those whispers sure would drive you mad, and well, that's where today's sponsor, Skillshare, actually can come in and help you out. Now, I don't know about you, but there has been so much stuff going on. June has been crazy that my attention has been incredibly fragmented. I've been a lot less productive. So today I've got a Skillshare pick that you're going to find really handy. And the first 1,000 of you to click will get 2 months of Skillshare Premium for free. And past that, it's only $10 a month. They are the ultimate, right, learning platform for creatives. And I want you to hit up this productivity piece from Kevin Siskar. It is all focused on mental attention. Now, with Twitter existing, work being busy, and having a bit of a ongoing personal health saga, my mental attention has been, well, the thing that's actually needed a bunch of work. And this, I think, is going to give you really good concepts that can actually be very actionable, that you can actually go and act on and improve things for yourself. And I think those concepts are important now, more so than ever. So hit up that. Now, you'll get 2 months for free if you're one of the first 1,000 to click below, so check them out. A big thanks to Skillshare for sticking with us through all of this and being a fantastic partner. And with that said, let's get stuck straight into the lore. The Horde sure did have a pretty rough time over the last few expansions, politically speaking. You know, skipping from one war chief to the next, whilst the Alliance juggernaut just kept on rolling. And even when Tyrande and Genn disagreed with Anduin on direction, well, they still did get the job done. But well, the Horde's likely going to be a lot better now, right? They've got their new council bringing about a lot of just long-needed stability. But the Alliance, on the other hand, well, they have let their divisions fester, and without peacemakers like Anduin, who has mysteriously disappeared, you'll find out why in the Shadowlands intro, well, we can only imagine the underlying tensions in the Alliance that could now explode. And we were promised this. In a patch 8.2 Polygon interview, we were promised that the Alliance, quote, don't have the same division in their ranks just yet. Well, yet is now, and we are seeing the first butterfly effect ripples that may actually tear up part of the Alliance political structure. So, this is how it's shaping up. Anduin has disappeared. We don't really know exactly how or why, but we've got a fair idea that he's gone to the Shadowlands. High Exarch Turalyon has actually taken up his responsibilities as steward and as basically the commander of the armed forces, and not everyone is happy about it. In the novel Shadows Rising, at least from the excerpts, Gen has his oppositions, but more interestingly, Matthias Shaw, leader of SI7, has his doubts. Now, we don't know how deeply those run, as he only recommends that Gen should instead be steward of the throne. But it would mean that a Stormwind native and a pillar of the intelligence community is not happy with who's going to be running the place. Now, Shaw also, of course, has the backing of SI7, one of the most powerful secretive organizations in the Alliance. So what might make Matthias Shaw unhappy? Well, I do think he's got the Alliance's best interests at heart, but maybe in a more of an ends justify the means clandestine sort of way. I mean, if you think about Matthias, that guy has been at the center of some of the most intense conflicts, and he really has seen what people, I would say, like Turalyon, ideologues, can do in the heat of the moment. And I think that Matthias fears, as I do, that Turalyon could become dogmatic, and that in the course of his stewardship, he may reflexively make decisions that would lead to the death or enslavement of innocent people, all because he would be blinded by the light. And this xe'ra, brand of dogmatism, that's what he signed up for. He was in the Army of Light, and he is now on the throne of Stormwind. xe'ra was not good, and when Illidan freed himself, Turalyon instantly tried to kill him, showing clear anger. So if we ever are to face an antagonistic Light, I really do have to wonder if Turalyon is going to be the best man to lead that counter-attack. Whereas at least somebody like Anduin, perhaps, even though he is a big man for the Light, maybe will be just a little bit more wise to what could go wrong. Okay, let's move on from our walking chandelier wannabe to Calia Menethil, who has been more active than Turalyon recently, and, well, we're already aware of the tensions that are simmering in Lordaeron. It's been, in the office, one of the things we've enjoyed covering the most. We had not, however, expected Calia to so quickly seem to take on a prominent role in Horde affairs. Now, this view of ours changed when we saw the meeting of Horde leaders during the Shadowlands introductory questline. Now, this kind of does suggest that she is just the de facto leader of the Forsaken, at least right now, right? The only other good info that we've got here is the aggro stances of the various characters in attendance. So if you take, say, this image, right? This is from the Alliance perspective, and we see that Thalyssra and Valera are both friendly, that Rolkan and Lorthamar are both hostile, but that Calia is neutral. And you can kind of understand why there, but is this a signal of maybe a broader role the Forsaken could be playing going forward, or does it just reflect Calia's ambitions as a peacemaker sort of character? Questions aside, I'm also worried that Calia could sort of endorse a Light invasion, or could be conflicted, right? And maybe would refuse to take decisive action. At the end of the day, we do know that the Light is actually what has made her be in this state of undeath, and you just have to wonder, could she be a sleeper cell? Could she just have some sort of bias towards the Light? If it was to do something evil, she, being a being formed of the Light in her new state, would she really be objective? Something ominous is coming for our post-Shadowlands world. I mean, it's World of Warcraft, of course it is. But now that we can align Turalyon, the Golden One, with the vacant throne of Stormwind from Il'gynoth's Whispers, we may finally know who the Light that brings the darkness is. And this could not fit Il'gynoth's Whisper more clearly. But then I wonder, is this literal darkness and the coming of the void, or is this more a conceptual darkness, right? Signaling strife coming from within the faction, or that the Light will actually take on an aspect so sinister that we could really call it nothing but darkness. Now, if this prophecy of Il'gynoth continues to play out, then it certainly would point to our belief that the Light will fire the first shots in a cosmic conflict. Blizzard have been building this since at least Illidan, probably before. Let's consider for a minute here some of the implications that these two characters have. Now, initially my thoughts circled around how Blizzard could set up the story going forward, because it's what they're going to want to do. Now, if we were to have a big Light versus Void expansion, if that was to be on the horizon, you would expect to see Blizzard seeding Void characters sort of aligned to both factions, in the same manner as, Light characters, like with Turalyon and, of course, Calia, and then Yrel via what they established with the Mag'har intro questline. That would bring more depth and moral ambiguity to the conflict, such that players are, split, both along faction and cosmological lines. And I think this conflict is coming, and Alleria could be a part of that as a more Void character, but I think we would just need a little bit more before there's a full Light versus Void conflict. And if that was to happen, I would expect it would take several expansions to set up a war of that magnitude. But then I think if we consider the fact that we've got a character with a bias towards the light in prominent positions on both characters, then it makes a light-ish expansion, I think, more likely. I mean, you've got the Light Mother, Yrel's boss. She could just come through the Dark Portal. If that happened, what would Turalyon's position be? Would he throw down his sword? Would he swear the entire might of the Alliance to the cause of that invading Naaru? I mean, if you think about it, his Lightforged certainly did swear, themselves behind the Alliance. So you could sort of see the same logic, making him swear us, the Alliance, to this new army of the light, right? The one that we know exists over there in AU Draenor. Really, I think this will be the dilemma that Turalyon faces during his time as Steward of the Throne. Do his loyalties lie with humanity and the Alliance, or with xe'ra, alternate universe, xe'ra of course, and the Army of the Light? Will the light-taken son of Grom Hellscream in fact be Turalyon's ally? And in a similar way, Kalia will be challenged by these events. These are characters who will be the lens through which we, the players, are looking at this, through which we're conflicted. That we've taken the light as a benign force of good for so long, well, I think now it's obviously got the chance to come and put us in chains, and that's really where it's time for us to extrapolate these facts into a post-Shadowlands Azeroth. The facts, of course, being we've got these two characters and the Whisper of Il'gynoth. There will be tension around alignment with the light. Turalyon will initially be sympathetic to any aggression from the light. He'll sort of see the light's point, and many members of the Alliance, who of course have close spiritual relationships with the light, they're likely to jump ship as well. And I think that because the light will be directly threatening our liberty, though, that we will eventually work out how to align both a belief in the light and then an opposition to the army of the light. So the thing and then the political organization. Now, this is something that Turalyon has faced before when he actually had to accept Alleria's imprisonment by xe'ra and co for using the Void. Then it was also Alleria who made him realize how irrational he was. So, in any future storyline, she will be the Light Mother's foil, giving Turalyon a way to rationalize resistance to the light. And then their son, Arator, of course, will also play into this, representing a world of balance between those two destructive cosmic forces. Unless, of course, the Light Mother takes him. Now, turning to the Horde, it's easy, I think. They've got a very natural opposition to tyranny just built into their DNA, so they'll be natural enemies to the light. Kalia could be an outlier, given her light nature, though. There could be some drama there. But what will happen if Yrel brought the Light Horde through the Dark Portal, maybe even led by High Exarch Hellscream, the son of Grom, a character who we know exists? I mean, there'd be drama with Kalia, but otherwise there would be a united front, with the Mag'har orcs being absolutely thirsty for vengeance. I think it would be pretty damn metal, I'll say that much. Now, to wrap this together, we can conclude from a recent interview with Steve Denuser that we're not going to see the Forsaken storyline advanced too much in the Shadowlands. He said that it, quote, takes time for things like that to play out. So there's that. Now, we can also put Turalyon and the Fate of Stormwind in this same category. I think they're going to be establishing it in Shadows Rising and some parts of the game, but then those characters will largely be left to their own devices while we go and adventure in the Shadowlands. It will be interesting to see the state of the world upon our return, but beyond just the state of the world, well, the breadcrumbs of these two characters that they're leaving, they are huge in terms of their cosmological import. How these characters are aligned. They might even preface some sort of invasion of the light, one that I think we're not quite prepared for, and I think that's something a lot of people will be sort of skeptical of, which I think actually proves Blizzard's point. I think Blizzard actually took a massive move when they said in that Mag'har introductory questline, hey, by the way, the light can be pretty darn evil, because the light, just did this whole fascistic just wash over Draenor, right? If you did not submit, you were killed. That is how it worked in AU Draenor. That's how badly it went, even though Yrel was supposedly this very noble, virtuous character. Now, they did that, this outward aggression from the light, they did that right after, in patch 8 or 7.3 of Legion, they showed the light being morally ambiguous. So they showed ambiguity, then they showed direct aggression, and they just keep on teasing those things. You then have that Whisper of Il'gynoth. I mean, a lot of people, I think, aren't going to feel that this is coming because the light has been such a good thing for so long. But come on, Xal'atath's calling the light long-lost brethren. We got all the things we've mentioned, or the Naaru, long-lost brethren, all the things we mentioned in today's video. I think it's pretty damn obvious that this is going to be going down. And that is it for this video. If you want to clear up some of that mental clutter, then go check out today's sponsor, Skillshare. You get 2 free months with the link down below, so it's totally risk-free. It's a great platform. They've been a great partner to work with. They've helped out our team so much. They really are a solid bunch, so you can check them out. Thank you to them for sponsoring, and thank you to you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what your speculations are down below, and I will see you next time.